Hello, everyone. This is EB, and before the podcast officially begins, I would like to give a quick disclaimer and explain that this podcast was actually recorded about 1 week after the Coldplay podcast. However, it has been delayed due to a problem with the audio, where my guest's audio was perfectly fine, but my audio was too quiet. Now, the problem was that it was all recorded on one audio track. So it wasn't like that I could go in and just raise my audio and everything would be fine. I had to manually go in and find the parts where I was talking and increase the audio so that I could actually be heard. Now, the problem is that there are times when my guests would accidentally talk over me, and that resulted in a lot of audio clipping. Now, I have done the best that I could to try and fix this, but there's only so much that I can do, so you're going to hear some moments when the audio clips out a bit. And again, I tried the best that I could to fix it, but it's still a problem that you're going to hear within this podcast, so I apologize for that ahead of time. Staying on for very long, it was crashing. I was able to get it fixed eventually. However, it had to wipe my laptop of everything that was on it. Now, I managed to save everything, including the podcast audio. However, it did not save all the editing progress I made on it, so I had to start from the very beginning. So the delayed podcast was delayed even more as a result of this. The reason... As a result of this delay, the podcast was recorded before the release of My Own Soul's Warning and Dying Breed. It was also recorded before the new release date of Imploding the Mirage was announced, and it was also recorded before Dave Kooning more or less officially announced that he has left the band. And I bring all this up because these are topics of discussion that happen later on in the podcast, and I don't want anyone to be confused when we start talking about some outdated information. With that said, that's all I have to say about the matter, so please enjoy the podcast. Hello, everyone. This is EB, and I'm doing another podcast. I am joined by my guest from last week.
Hey everyone, Alec Alger of the SQG review show here, and it's good to be back. Last time we talked about Coldplay's discography, now we're talking about The Killers. Oh, this will be a fun episode. And probably shorter because they have like 5 going on to 6 studio albums.
I think we decided this time to just get into the studio albums and then talk about our history with the band after the fact.
Yep.
We tried recording this before, but we had some technical errors, so we had to start over.
Yeah, so we thought this would quicken up the pace a bit.
Yeah. So,
pick up where we left off.
Yeah. So to start off, we have their first album, Hot Fuss, from 2004, which is a pretty damn good debut album.
Definitely.
We talked about Coldplay, we talked about Parachutes, and how we had some problems with it.
Mm-hmm.
And Hot Fuss is an example of a good debut album. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better than Parachutes.
Yeah, it's one of the better debut albums I've heard. Because most artists, they have trouble finding their sound initially, even with a record deal and whatnot. So while they experiment and just put their best foot out there, just so the rest of the world can hear. I think the Killers really did a pretty strong first impression with Hot Fuss, the first 5 tracks especially. I think that contains pretty much all the singles from there, like Mr. Brightside, of course. That pretty much put them on the map. So Somebody Told Me, all the things I've done, and Smile Like You Mean It. That was also a single. I had no idea.
I believe so.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just looking at track listings and which ones are marked as singles. So
if I remember correctly, Jenny Was a Friend of Mine is the only one from the first 5 that wasn't a single.
You are correct, but that one is quite famous.
Yeah. So we were talking about how the main criticism I have of Hot Fuss is I feel that the first half is superior to the second half.
Yeah, it's first half like first 5 tracks specifically feel like they were like the complete high points, and then just like it really fizzles out with like the second half. Not that the second half's necessarily bad, it's just like one half is good to great, well the other half is decent to pretty good, with the pretty good being like 1 or 2 tracks from like 6 through 11.
Yeah, the first 5 songs are kind of like masterpieces. They're the kind of songs that you listen to the first time and you fall in love with them instantly.
Mm-hmm.
The second half, like for me personally, like it took more time for songs for the second half to grow on me. Like Andy, Your Star, Change Your Mind, or like that for me.
Yeah, it's like Change Your Mind was actually like one of my first like tracks I liked when like listening to this album. Like initially I really liked it, and I still do quite a bit. Man, the first half, I can't say how much much of a strong impression that is. Like Mr. Brightside is like I didn't like it at first, but now it's like one of my favorite tracks by them. The electric guitar is legendary. The lyrics are like very memorable. It's not metaphorically confusing at all. It's straight to the point. It has a really nice synthesizer bridge in the middle. And it's short, so it's very re-listenable.
Yeah, like,
It's like, but "Smile Like You Mean It." That's probably my favorite song from this album. That's another one I didn't care for at first, but it really, really grew on me. Just dealing with memories and shit.
Smile Like You Mean It is a song that I appreciate as I get older
Hmm.
because like it does kind of deal with like themes of growing up.
I feel like it resonates with people like in their mid-20s, especially. Than when I first listened to this when I was like 17, 16. I can't remember.
Yeah. Overall, like the album, it has a very British vibe to it, up to the point where some people thought that the Killers were a British band when the record was released.
That's really surprising. I had no idea that was the case, but apparently so.
Yeah, they have a lot of British influences, so it's not very surprising to me personally.
Hmm.
But overall, like yeah, this is a good album to start off on, and like you were saying, like it is common for bands to not really figure it out by record one, but the Killers are an exception to that.
Yep.
And overall, I would probably rank Hot Fuss as my third favorite album by the Killers.
It's probably my second favorite. It's like that didn't used to be the case. Like it was my least favorite album when I first listened to like all 4 of the albums. Keep in mind this was before Wonderful Wonderful was released, so it's just like I didn't, for some reason I did not like anything electronic related. Not even a little bit of electronic influence in rock music, but I don't know. I guess I was just a very nitpicky back then, if that makes sense. I don't know why. I guess I was just stuck up like that. So what would you consider as the most underrated track from this album?
I'd have to go with like Andy Your Star or Change Your Mind for that one.
Oh, I actually agree with that. Change Your Mind. That's probably my third favorite song from this album. It's very catchy, especially the lyrics, and I don't really like the synthesizer that much. It kind of sounds like a toy synthesizer. I think it's like the synthesizer, the keyboard sounds a lot better. Like like when they performed that song live on Lollapalooza. It's just like sound like a more natural synthesizer keyboard instead of the toy synthesizer that it sounds like in like the studio version.
We talked about like underrated. My least favorite track from the album would probably have to be On Top.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about that. It's a little forgettable for my liking.
Yeah, I do like On Top. It's just I like it the least out of the album.
Mm.
So when I say like
Makes
it's
sense.
my least favorite, that's kind of like by default, as opposed to like saying oh it's bad.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite would have to be All These Things That I've Done.
Yep.
It's like that is the song that got me into the Killers in the first place.
Oh, definitely. It's like I hear it's like pretty much a bit of like a teenage anthem among the fan base.
Yeah, there's also like the lyric "I got soul, but I'm not a soldier."
Yeah.
That's my favorite lyric from the Killers. I love it so much that's actually my senior quote.
Like the vocal performance is like a bit aggressive, just that's part of the appeal of it. You kind of hear a bit of the frustration in his voice.
I could gush on for hours and hours on how much I love all these things I've done, but we unfortunately don't have that much time.
It's like what was like Smile Like You Mean It. That's definitely my favorite. I think I said that was my favorite. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. What's your favorite?
I already answered that with all these things I've done.
Okay, right, right. Okay, so we can move on to where this stuff gets great, Sam Stone. My God, that is a fantastic album. That was the first album I got into from the band, and I listened to it from like front to back, and it's just like there's only like a few duds here and there, but I'd say it has more high points than any of their albums, which is why it's like my favorite album by them.
Yeah, it starts off strong with the title track, Sam's Town.
Oh yeah, that's like a full-on musical opening.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites by the band, and I consider it to be one of their most underrated songs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of underrated material on this album, not just Sam's Town.
Yeah, it's like, for reasons unknown. Actually, that's somewhat popular. It's not really underrated. It's just rated, pretty much. But that's like another one of my favorites. Probably, actually, that's my favorite song from the album, pretty much. But as for underrated, I really like Uncle Johnny. Believe it or not.
Uncle Johnny is definitely one of the highlights from this record.
It's like Blaine Confessions of a King's not too bad either. Not my favorite from the album, but it's very catchy.
You also have like Interlude and Exitlude, which are very fun songs.
Yeah, feels more like a transition piece. Not necessarily as complex as I would like it to be, but they're there. Especially Exitlude. That was a bit of a higher point than Interlude, to be honest.
I kind of wish the album started with Interlude. It's kind of a nitpick, but that would have made it a little bit better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Sam Style, that's a bit more bombastic and probably the first impression you want people to hear. So, either way, it works. Or maybe they should have probably just made Interlude a part of Sam Style. Make it like a conclusionary piece, like a hidden track or something. Kind of like the piano piece at the end of Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. How they feels like two separate tracks, but they're part of one track.
What else is on here? Oh, we have This River is Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Is quite possibly the most underrated Killer song ever.
Oh, definitely.
That's another song I could gush on for hours about how much I love.
When You Were Young, that's the track that like even non-Killer songs at least heard of in football games and whatnot. Like, if they're like, who's the Killers? You're like, they're the guys who did Mr. Brightside and When You Were Young, and be like, oh yeah, those guys are good. It somehow reached a much broader demographic than their own fan base. So that's cool.
This is kind of blasphemous for most Killers fans, but I love When You Were Young, but I wouldn't consider it one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's probably like my second or third favorite from this album. I mean, it's like for reasons unknown, that's definitely my number one from this album.
Yeah, there's also Read My Mind, which I think Brandon Flowers said that it is the Killer song he's the most proud of.
Yeah,
and I kind of see why. It is a beautiful song.
Mm-hmm.
I love the lyric at the end. The stars are blazing like rebel diamonds cut out of the sun.
Yeah, it's really clever, very poetic.
The only songs that we haven't talked about are My List and Why Do I Keep Counting, which I consider to be duds.
Yeah, I don't really remember much of them. I think those are the ones I often skip.
Now, there was a song that was going to be on the album called Peace of Mind, which they released in 2016 as like a 10-year celebration thing. It was recorded before My List, but like the synthesizer that you hear in My List was originally going to be in Peace of Mind. I can't help but ask, why didn't Peace of Mind go on the album then? It's much better.
Yeah.
But overall, I do consider this to be like a solid album. Like those two, like My List and Why Do I Keep Counting kind of pull it back a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely not one. It's like, but still, it's a very great album that you often go back to.
Yeah, overall, I would say that Sam's Town is my second favorite album from the band.
Yeah, it's definitely my all-time favorite. I still stand by that, but
my favorite song on this album, I'll kill two birds with one stone because This River is Wild is my favorite song on the album, but it's also what I would consider the most underrated on the album.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about you?
I just said like was crap. What was it? What's the name? For reasons unknown. Yes, that's definitely my favorite. Just like very catchy, very like the vocals are very good, well done. It just all comes together and harmonizes perfectly, practically, and it's very consistent. You know, very listenable.
I think you said that Uncle Johnny was like your what we call the most underrated.
Yeah, yeah, I don't hear that one talked about often. It's about a guy. It's like I think it's about like Brandon's real uncle who had like a cocaine addiction. And it's like it's like, Uncle, I wrote a song about you. It's like, you did. At least that's what I heard.
Bones, though, that's another great one on the track.
Is that the one where they're in the movie theater? Like two people are in the movie theater watching skeletons on a beach. Or am I thinking of something else?
That is Bones.
That's probably another lesser favorite of mine. It's never really could get into it that much.
I consider that to be like one of the best ones on the album.
Well, to each their own. What do you like about it so much?
Well, I love like the brass instrumentation on it. I also like the lyrics and like the subject matter. Like it's like the way they do the subject matter. Like it's subtle and it's so well done. Like, do you know what the song is about?
Not really, to be honest.
It's Bones is about wanting to do the old in out with someone.
Oh. Oh my god. Oh jeez. I need an adult.
You could play at work in school and nobody would bat an eye.
Oh, that's true. You sly dog, you.
But I think that's everything we have for Sam's Town. We're not going to discuss Sawdust because that's not technically a studio album.
Yeah.
I guess we could like give quick thoughts before moving on to Day and Age.
It's if I were to rank it, it's probably my third favorite quote unquote album, because I just really like the B-sides. Like I think they did an even better cover of Romeo and Juliet than Dire Straits did. No offense to Marv and Dave Knopfler, you guys did a great job. I'm not really into Dire Straits as much as my parents are, so yeah, just having a cover of that was like really beautiful, very piano dominant. I also like the piano version of Sam's Town, even though it's not as good as the like full orchestrated version you hear in the Sam's Town. And All the Pretty Faces is like easily in my top 5 favorite like killer songs. It was actually a B-side to When You Were Young when it was released as a single. I'm surprised that wasn't really included on the album, but I don't really understand what's going on in like an artist's mind when they don't put B-sides on the studio albums. Kind of like Coldplay and Gravity. Why was that never put on a studio album? Apparently, it's still that one to like some like indie band, but I'm getting ahead of it myself. Where do you stand on Sawdust?
Sawdust. I like it, but I don't love it. There are some songs that are kind of like in one ear out the other, but there's stuff on here that I do love to death, like Tranquilize, Play, All the Pretty Faces, Leave the Bird on the Shelf, Sweet Talk, Under the Gun, Glamorous Into Rock and Roll, The Ballad of Michael Valentine, and the remix of Mr. Brightside are the highlights of Sawdust.
Oh yeah, Jacques Lucan's version of that.
There is a lot of underrated stuff on Sawdust that I do return to a lot. But overall, I think we're going to move on to the next album, Day and Age.
All right. For the longest time, like this is like my second least favorite, but now, oh wow, it's my second least favorite, but the rankings have kind of flipped around. It's just like I think my sister said it best. They went a little bit towards like more electronic influence, and unfortunately, there's not really that many high points for me personally. Like, I still think it's a decent album, but it's just like, other than Human and Spaceman and just like a few other tracks, it's just, nothing really sticks out to me as special or as memorable. Like, keep in mind, this was released in what, 2008?
Yes.
Like 4 years after their last studio album. So coming back with this, initially disappointed, not just like my sister, what, because she was a Killers fan long before I was, but just a lot of other people in the fan base. I see this pretty. I never see it ranked number one on like among Killers fans in the fan groups I've seen.
Yeah, I used to like Day and Age a lot more, but I think I've grown more attached to Hot Fuss as time has gone by.
Yeah, so have I. It used to rank higher than Hot Fuss for me, but times have changed, interests have changed, really. Oh, and it's oddly enough, it's like the regular track listing. There's only like 10 tracks total instead of like the usual 12 or 13. So it's a bit of a curious case. I do say so.
Day and Age, it is. I would consider it one of my least favorite Killers albums. I do like it. I return to it sometimes. Maybe not as much as Hot Fuss or Sam's Town, but it does. It has some. I do think it has some high points. Like Losing Touch is. I actually really like Losing Touch. I consider it to be one of the most underrated.
Yeah.
A Dust Fairy Tale is.
Oh, that's a beautiful song. Dust and Fairy Tales. Like that music video was really intense, but even separated from the music video and just listening to it is it's just like the way it progresses, it just builds up and to be this really memorable experience.
I think Brendan wrote that song about his parents. Like that's the story of Dust and Fairy Tales, like how his parents met and the stuff that they went through as a married couple.
Oh, did the dad go to jail?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's like so the music video is completely different.
Yeah, like Brandon's dad was an alcoholic for a few years. He eventually got clean, but that was still like a little trouble that they had with their relationship for a while.
Spaceman, like it's one of the, you ever listen to a song that sounds all happy and joyful but has some really dark subject matter when you look deep into the lyrics? That's pretty much Spaceman. Like my friend Cameron cannot listen to that. He's a huge Killers fan, but he's like, I can't fucking listen to this. It's so fucking depressing.
Yeah, apparently it's about a failed suicide attempt.
Yeah, and it's just like contradictions. Like it's like I can't remember what it's like. Something about the Nile goes from east to west. They say the Nile goes from east to west. You know.
There's that whole that death of the author thing.
Yeah.
I don't really like to interpret Spaceman as like a song about failed suicide attempt for obvious reasons.
It's a bit too close to home.
Spaceman, I do like it. It is fun and dancey.
Mm-hmm.
But to me personally, it is kind of one of those songs that doesn't have much longevity, which might be a blasphemous opinion to some people, but that's how I feel.
Oh. Yes, it's like my second favorite song from this album.
There's also Human.
That's my number one.
Which has a longly debated line, are we human or are we dancer?
I don't. That's the thing about the song. The lyrics are really weird. I mean, just that one specifically, it's just like, I like the rest of it, but it's like, human or are we dancer? Was he some sort of puppet that thinks he's human?
I don't remember who wrote the line, but I think the Killers were inspired by like the line, we're raising a generation of dancers, from a poet.
Oh, that is good. Death of the Offer really comes in handy sometimes.
Yeah, it's meant to be like philosophical, like are we individuals or are we just following a routine?
Believe it or not, I heard the song way before I was a fan of the Killers. I don't know if some of you animation enthusiasts might have know about this, but there was this like really obscure movie, Planet 51. It wasn't that good, but like it's about a human who lands on a planet and he's trying to escape that planet and is being hunted by their version of like the US government, and kind of a twist. And that's like oh wait, sorry, we're talking about Human, never mind. Spaceman, that was what it played on the Planet 51 trailer. I'm so sorry.
I do remember that movie, actually, but I did not know that they had a Killers music associated with it.
That's how, like, I see in the comments, like, anyone from Planet 51 trailer here? Like, oh my god, I remember that. It wasn't that good, but I remember that.
Going back to Human, I remember I saw a YouTube video where somebody provided, like, a more optimistic interpretation of the Are We Human or Are We Dancer line. Very interesting. I might send you the link after we're done with it, if I can find the video.
Sounds good. I just hope it's not echoey webcam shit I can't listen to.
I don't think it is.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, I also wanted to talk about something from Devil Fairy Tale, but I forgot. I think like we were talking about like how Brandon's dad was an alcoholic. There's the line in the chorus like saw Cinderella in a party dress, but she was looking for a nightgown. I saw the devil wrapping up his hands. He's getting ready for the showdown. My interpretation is like Cinderella is his mother and the devil is his father.
Ooh. That kind of gives a darker kind of like experience to the song.
Yeah, because but apparently like Brandon's mother was I think she was battling cancer at the time they were recording the album, so the final verse of the song I think is like Brandon pleading with his mother to not leave him.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a live performance where he changed like there's a lyric like Cinderella don't you go sleep, then it goes to like can't you see the kingdom's under siege and everybody needs you. There's a live performance where he changes it to and I need you. It's like, oh, that hurts.
It hurts. The feels.
I think unfortunately his mother passed away of cancer a few years later.
Oh shit, that sucks. Can I just go can I swear?
Yeah, it's fine.
Alright, fuck cancer. Really. It could go fuck itself, man. It's seriously. It's just like everyone I know has had a negative experience. It's like I didn't know my grandfather very well, but he died of cancer when I was 6 years old. I mean, he was 73, but still, it's just like fucking cancer, man. It sucks. And my cat, Buddy, my first cat, he died when he was 6 years old due to pancreatic cancer that spread to his lungs. It's like why he kept hiding underneath the bed. He's just waiting to die. It's like fucking hate cancer. And it's like like advances in medicine have come a long way since then, so it's not necessarily a death penalty anymore. Still, it's just like it gives me anxiety, dude.
Yeah. My dog had cancer, but luckily it was treatable, so we were able to like take care of it, and she's good now.
How do they treat animals with cancer? Do they have their own chemotherapy, or is there like do they just remove a part of the organ it's on?
For my dogs, they just removed the tumors.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Make things a little more lighthearted after the seriousness of the discussion.
Sorry, it's just that's the effect of the killers, makes you think about things.
We also have Joyride is on this album, which is a nice, fun, funky song.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, was it This Is Your Life? That one I honestly think is a little underrated. It's not great by any means, but I don't skip it. Yeah.
I think like Joyride and This Is Your Life are connected.
Mm-hmm.
I think because like Joyride is about a guy like trying to sleep with a prostitute, and This Is Your Life is told from the perspective of the prostitute, but it's like trying to encourage her to do something better with her life.
What's your least favorite track from this album?
I Can't Stay on Neon Tiger.
Yeah, I really do not remember that one at all, to be honest.
I Can't Stay is like one of the few Killer songs that I would say is not very good.
So it's pretty much the Killer's X marks the spot.
I Can't Stay is to the Killers what X marks the spot is to Coldplay. That's a great analogy. I haven't thought of that before.
Thank you. Yeah, I contributed something.
The album has a pretty sad outro song, Good Night Travel Well.
Mm-hmm.
I do love Good Night Travel Well. I consider it to be one of my favorite Killer songs, but I have to be in the right mood to listen to it because it is depressing.
Definitely. But it's like, I will say, for an album that's a little uneven at times, that was definitely a good way to end things off, if I do say so myself.
I remember I didn't really like Good Night Travel Well at first because of how slow and sad it was, but then I learned that the reason why the song's written is because the guitarist's mother passed away, and like Brendan's mom had cancer, and that song is about like coping with the death of a loved one.
Yeah.
When I figured that out, I listened to it again. It's like, oh my god, it's meant to be slow and depressing. Like that's part of what makes it a great track.
Yeah.
It is. It's sad, but like it serves a purpose at least.
Mm-hmm. So, the nice thing about Day and Age is like the thing that's only holding it back. It's not that there's like a number of very low points or anything. There's only like one on this entire album. It's just that there's not many high points for me personally. There's like only one or two. That's it. Well, the rest ranges from decent to pretty good. but just not very good or exceptional or great or even a masterpiece. Even the bigger tracks, I wouldn't really consider to be like a masterpiece by any means. I mean, some may disagree, but that's just how I honestly feel as a listener of this album.
Yeah, Day and Age is a little more experimental than their previous works.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works, like with songs like Dust Line Fairy Tale or Losing Touch, it works, but for everything else, I won't necessarily call them failures, but they didn't pass the flying colors either.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you said, like there aren't that many high points.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at my list of favorite Killer songs, only 3 of them come from Day and Age.
Yeah.
Overall, when it comes to me ranking this album, it's one of my least favorites. I don't know where I would put it specifically, but it is pretty low on the list.
As of now, it ranks higher than one of the albums we will discuss later in this video.
Yeah. My favorite track from Day and Age, I'm tempted to say Goodnight Travel Well, but that is like you have to be in the right mood to watch it. No, not listen to it. My bad.
I'll go with Human. I'm just always in the mood to listen to that.
I think that maybe I'd have to go with Dust on Fairy Tale because like I could listen to that whenever I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But as for most underrated, I definitely have to go with Losing Touch.
All right, sounds good.
Next.
As for underrated, is it kind of like is it cheap to say Goodnight Travel Well? I mean, it's not released as a single, so less people know about it, but I guess that's more overlooked than underrated. I can't really see anything is underrated in that case because everything else is either just rated or maybe just rated higher than I would rate it. That's about it.
I would consider Goodnight Travel Well underrated.
All right, I'll go with that.
Okay, so next we have Battleborn, and this is definitely an improvement over Day and Age.
Definitely. This was released in 2012, if I'm not mistaken.
Battleborn, I think a lot of the fan base was divided by it when it first came out, and even the band themselves said that they weren't happy with it for a while. But in recent years, people have been warming up to it a bit, and they're like, oh, it's actually not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Battleborn from the beginning. It is basically the album that made me a Killers fan. Like, I knew who they were before it came out, but listening to Battleborn's like, that's it, I love this band.
When I first listened to the Killers in high school, like seriously listened to their discography, Sam's Town and Battleborn were the albums I went back to the most, mainly for a few specific tracks. But it's just like, Battleborn. I think it was a welcome return to form even though it's like probably a mid-tier ranking album for me personally. I wouldn't rank it as one of the best, but I wouldn't rank it as one of the worst either. And if like Imploding the Mirage, which is yet to be released, if it's like the singles they release as of writing or any indication of what the rest of the album's going to be like, it most likely will outrank Battleborn for me, but we have to see how well like the lesser tracks do.
I love Battleborn. I think I love it more than you do personally.
Oh, how dare you? Well, looks like we're going war.
In my opinion, Battleborn is a perfect album start to end. Like, there isn't a single dud on this record.
Yeah, I don't remember any of them. So, well, I mean, I don't remember any duds. Oh god, that'd be horrible if I didn't remember any of the songs. There's like Flesh and Bone is probably one of the most underrated. You know what? It is the most underrated Killer song I've listened to. Holy shit, that is how you begin an album. Kind of like the electronic kind of chiptune-y beginning, you know, the beeping and shit, and then just like here's some electronic instruments coming in. It's just like, I don't know, there's something very appealing about the beginning track.
Yeah, there's a lot of underrated songs on Battleborn. Flesh and Bone is a great opener. Runaways is awesome.
Yeah, I like that one. Not as much as Flesh and Bone, but it's like for one of the singles that was released for this album specifically, it was pretty good. That's how you bring the fans back, especially after some didn't really care for Day and Age.
Yeah, like I think even the harshest critics of Battleborn were soft to Runaways.
Definitely.
The way it was, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I can understand why so many people like it as much as they do.
Yeah. I see like it heavily like praised in the comment sections of the YouTube video of it. Like the song uploads that bands do for their channels.
Yeah, Here With Me is one of my favorites. I think it's a sad song in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
When you listen to it, it sounds happy and upbeat, but when you look at the lyrics, it's like, oh, it's actually not very happy. It's actually kind of sad.
So it's almost similar to like Spaceman from Day and Age in that regard, at least.
Like, there's a lot
How do you feel about A Matter of Time and deadline commitments?
I love deadlines and commitments. Like, it's. I really like '80s music, and deadlines and commitments like neo '80s, and I love it to death.
And Neo 80s is like they were doing that like back in 2012. It's like they did that before like 2015 made that like music and aesthetic cool again.
What else? Miss Atomic Bomb is one of the best on this album.
Yeah, seriously, it's like if I had to make a top 5 favorite Killer songs ever, it's definitely somewhere in there. For a while, it was my all-time favorite. To me, it was like a Bohemian Rhapsody or something like that. Just like a breakup song about guys finally coming to terms to the betrayal.
Yeah, Miss Atomic Bomb, the official sequel to Mr. Brightside.
I know a secret. I think it's even better than Mr. Brightside.
That's a controversial opinion.
That's like the melancholy guitar beginning and stuff, and just like the slight electronic stuff in there just works really well. And it's just like in the music video when they're riding off in the desert and like the guitar really comes in, it's so good, it's fucking magical.
The music video is great. The only problem I have with it is like there's a part of the song that they cut out.
Mm-hmm. A little tenderness and truth. I didn't ask for much. That part.
You do not cut out a piece of Miss Atomic Bomb.
I know it's frustrating. It's like when Coldplay's talk music video cut out like the keyboard synthesizer sounds like you're in the center of a black hole or something like that. They cut that short just to fill the time for the music video when they really could have cut down like the ending portion.
When I was a freshman in high school, in English class we had an assignment where we had to pick like a song or a poem and dissect the lyrics, and I chose Miss Atomic Bomb for my assignment, and I got an A on it.
Yeah, I think the lyrics especially really sell the songs for me. It was just like they use like Nagasaki like metaphors as just like the impact of this breakup.
Yeah. I wish I saved that paper, but like the title alone is enough to sell you on it. Like Miss Atomic Bomb, that's an epic title.
Yep. It's probably I'm gonna be honest, this might just be my favorite song from the entire album. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, because like like a fucking nuclear weapon just knocks these out of the park.
The Rising Tide, not the best on the album, but I still really like it.
Yeah. I think this is the point where the album kind of fizzles out a bit. It's just kind of has Hot Fuss syndrome with that. Except at least like the high points ends at track 7 instead of track 5.
Yeah. For Heart of a Girl is beautiful. I love that one.
Definitely. I think that might be my favorite of like tracks 8 through 12.
Yeah, it's very underrated. You also have From Here On Out, which my only complaint with From Here On Out is that it's too short.
Yeah, definitely. Only 2 minutes and 27 seconds.
Be Still is an emotional song. I wouldn't consider it sad. I would consider it uplifting, but it's still like kind of hard not to cry when listening to it.
Yeah. I don't really remember that one, to be honest, but I'd have to give it another listen.
I love Be Still. Like I fell in love with it like the second that I heard it. I don't want to get too personal, but it did help me through some dark times.
Definitely.
I find myself quoting a lot of the lyrics whenever like anxiety kicks up for me. Like it's very uplifting song. It's very motivational for me personally.
I feel like that's what Coldplay and Killers fans often talk about, just like a specific song that just helps them get through some darker times, whether it be from like anxiety, suicide, or like even alcoholism.
Yeah. Then you have Battleborn, which is an epic closer to the album.
Definitely. It's like not my favorite track in the album, kind of is a little indicative of the second half, which is like not being nearly as strong as the first 7 tracks, but for a closer track, it's probably one of their better ones. If I'm being honest, like it's definitely better than Exit Lude, that's for sure. And I can't even remember what was the last track for Hot Fuss.
Everything will be all right.
Yeah, I think it only loses to like Day and Age's closer track though.
Yeah.
It's like not as good, but I think for a titular track, it was a good way to end things off.
Yeah, it's very bombastic. Like it just keeps on building up in epicness until like it reaches so high, then it has that calm outro, which is beautiful. Like it's a perfect way to end the album.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a closer track, have it progress, then have an epic high point, and then just like soft close.
It's kind of like
That's what a lot of bands do, and I am never sick of that trope.
yeah, it's kind of like Charlie Brown by Coldplay. How like it's bombastic and epic throughout, then has that piano exit. It's very similar, but I'd say maybe I'd say that I like this more personally.
Yeah, but looking at the track listings, one thing I noticed for sure with like when it comes to Battleborn as an album, like it wasn't just the Brandon Flowers and Company album. Like everyone had a hand on it. Vanucci, David Kooning. It's like everyone has some form of hand in writing, and that's impressive, you know.
Yeah, so I own the deluxe version of Battleborn I got for Christmas, and also has "Carry Me Home" and "Prize Fighter" on it, which are epic songs.
Yeah. Jacques Lucan is one of the producers for the Flesh and Bone Jacques Lucan version. Okay.
Yeah, Battleborn. Battleborn is actually my favorite Killers album. Like I said, like it got me into the band, which might be a little bit biased, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, I just think like I think some of the lesser tracks kind of bring it down for me. It's like it's got 12 tracks total, and many more if you buy some deluxe or exclusive versions of the album. But it's like I don't know. It's to me, it just feels like a step forward in the right direction. But I don't know. It just like it just doesn't feel like any better than pretty good instead of their usual great to masterpiece quality standard that we saw in, like the first 2 albums.
Well, I'd have to disagree with you on that because I wish I had time to like go on for hours and hours and gush about how much I love Battleborn.
Yeah,
I might do that one day. Just like have a podcast dedicated to like gushing about Battleborn.
I'm just really surprised this is the album they consider to be disappointing. That's a little surprising. Although I do recall that there's like some like infighting within the band. I can't remember if it was this one or the record or something that happened after the recording, but like at one point they all sought counseling, which is like, oof, that could usually end a band.
I think I've heard about that somewhere, but I don't know how much truth there is to that.
And it's like high publisher, high grade publishers like magazines and articles have discussed it.
Yeah, I might look into that later.
What's next on the list?
we have to like talk about like the ranking of the album, which I said like my all-time favorite, but my least favorite song would have to be "A Matter of Time," but that's like just by default.
Yeah.
I do like "Matter of Time," but I probably like it the least. Most underrated, that's hard for me to answer because I just love this album to death.
I'd say Battleborn, maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah. Or actually, no, Flesh and Bone, of course.
Am I Flesh and Bone is underrated?
It definitely is. It's like I don't recall it getting mixed reviews initially. I mean, I do recall it being generally positive, but like yes, some were hoping for it to be like their ultimate comeback. They're finally just as good, if not better, than the first 2 albums, which was the case for some people, but not the case for others. Yeah, general positive reviews. It's like ooh, only got a 64 on like what is it, Metacritic? What do they know? It's a weighted kind of deal.
My favorite on this would have to be the title track, Battleborn. I could say like that is what I would consider the most underrated.
Definitely.
I think you said your favorite was Miss Atomic Bomb.
Yeah, that's what's my favorite in the entire album, really. It's not even much competition there, to be honest. Some may disagree, but It's and I never got sick of listening to it.
Yeah. After Battleborn. Oh wait, real quick, I want to talk about something. Like, if you're talking about Miss Atomic Bombs, like I saw a YouTube comment where somebody was talking about like their grandfather and how they listened to Miss Atomic Bomb, like became their favorite song.
Yeah, I read that actually. Oh my god.
Yeah, I've read it.
Yeah, it's like I read it on. I don't think it was like it's just a highly rated comment on the YouTube comment. It's like it's just like I thought it was like a classic rock they just discovered, but I was shocked to realize it was like from 2015 or no 2012.
Yeah,
I think it's 2012. Yeah,
yeah, it's a very wholesome comment. Makes me happy.
agreed.
Now that we have ended with Battleborn, we can continue to Wonderful, Wonderful.
The last album until Imploding the Mirage comes out. I'm excited for that, but especially after this fifth album, I'm going to be honest. This is the first Killers album I consider to be awful. I did not like it at all. It felt more like it was somehow worse than not only the Killers albums, but even the lesser Brandon Flowers solo albums. It kind of felt like a solo album, except with throwaway material. It's just like, what happened? I didn't even know this album existed until 2019. It's like
It came out in 2017.
20. Oh wow, that's like 5 years after Battleborn. Holy shit.
Yeah, Wonderful, Wonderful is, I would say, is one of my least favorite. I don't say that I hate it. I do like it, but I don't love it. Like, I don't. I'm kind of still deciding like whether or not I like it more than Day and Age. Probably not, but it does kind of lack a bit of the Killer's identity, with some exception. I think like the title track, Wonderful, Wonderful, The Man, and Run for Cover, I think are like the best use of the sound from this album, and I would consider it like to be the best three.
Well, congratulations. You just named the only ones I kind of like.
Rut and Life to Come, I like, but yeah, they kind of do have that problem of like they don't sound like the Killers.
Yeah, what is this? It's just in one ear and out the other. It's just like, what is this?
Same thing can be said for Tyson versus Douglas and Some Kind of Love.
Yeah, Tyson versus Douglas. Is that a reference to like a boxing match or something?
Yeah. Brandon Flowers is like a big, huge Mike Tyson, and he saw the Tyson versus Douglas match, and when he saw him lose, it was kind of like heartbreaking for him.
Yeah,
and the song is meant to reflect that. Some Kind of Love I like, but again, doesn't really sound like the Killers.
Huh. Brian Eno, he produced this. He was one of the three producers of Some Kind of Love. He worked heavily with Coldplay. In fact, he's probably the reason why Viva La Vida is such a masterpiece.
What happened then?
I know, man. He could have been the saving grace for this album. I mean, to be fair, it's just one song he produced. Yeah, I don't see him listed anywhere else. Oh wait, he's just a writer. Never mind.
Some Kind of Love. One thing I do not like about it, there's the lyric, "You got the soul of a truck on a long distance haul."
Mm-hmm.
I do not like that lyric. I get what it's trying to say, but it kind of spoils it almost.
What do you think of the last three tracks? Oh yeah, another thing. It's only like 10 tracks if you get the standard edition.
Yeah. Out of My Mind, it's okay. It's fine. Calling is easily the worst on the album, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably like my least favorite Killer songs ever.
Yeah. Have All the Songs Been Written has been getting like a lot of people dislike that song. I think I like it more than a lot of people give it credit for personally.
I don't really care for it. So it's like, have all these songs been written? Well, if we're talking about the album, no, and there's a reason why. Oh wait, wasn't like Run for Cover like a Bob Marley cover?
No, like Run for Cover, I think they originally wrote it for Day and Age, but they didn't finish it in time. They tried to release it for Battleborn, but they didn't get on there, and this is when they finally released it.
That's odd.
One of the things that I dislike the most about this album, and this might sound really petty to some people, the album cover doesn't have the Killers logo on it.
Oh yeah, it's just a freaking seashell.
Yeah,
what the? You couldn't even have like a faded logo in the background. And it's just like, come on.
It's so annoying. It's like that's like a tradition of Killer's albums. Like you have the logo on front.
Yeah, it's just like other than like this may be blasphemous, but other than like Sam's Town, most of the albums were fucking album covers were really good, you know. Especially Sawdust, where it's just an arm that's a tree branch and that's the logo kind of you can kind of see it, you know.
Yeah, I saw
And
some
just
on.
Day and Age is like my second favorite album cover by them. So like they put in great care to this artwork because if you're only going to release an album like a studio album every once in a great while, it's just, you better make that cover memorable and be like, buy me, buy my album, buy me, put me on your shelf. I need you to buy me. Look at the cover, look at it, be mesmerized by it, you know.
Yeah, somebody on Reddit did a Photoshop where they put the Killer's logo on the Wonderful Wonderful album, and it looks so much better. I'll have to share it with you in Discord later. Like,
I'm looking it up right now.
yeah,
You can share it later, but yeah, sorry. Losing track, but
I
wonderful, wonderful. Maybe it's not fair to call it garbage completely. It's like they tried somewhat, but it's like I don't know. It's like a 3 or a 4 out of 10 album for me. I just cannot remember anything about it, you know, and that's the worst thing it can be because it should be at least, you know, unenjoyable but memorable to have some redeeming factors into it, you know. At least make it discussion worthy, but I'm just struggling to find things to talk about with this one.
I guess that most people will probably criticize like the style change, and I'm not completely against bands changing their style. Like another band that I really love is the Goo Goo Dolls, and they have changed their style a lot throughout their career. Yeah, but it's not necessarily like that they changed their style that bothers me. It's just it doesn't feel like that it was a good change. Like it was a change for the better.
Agreed. It doesn't add anything to what they're known for, and so it doesn't feel justified in the style change. I don't really even mind that it changed its style. It's just the style they went for has been outdone by many other people, even way before they even put this album on store shelves.
So like, I think like from what we've heard of Imploding the Mirage so far, it feels like everything that Wonderful Wonderful should have been.
Seriously, it's like Caution, the single they released for that was so freaking good. It looks like it's drawing influence from like Day and Age, Sam's Town, and Hot Fuss. You know, it's just everything we love about it, but it doesn't feel like it's pandering to our nostalgia, except maybe a little bit lyrically.
Yeah, like,
You know, she's got Hollywood eyes, you know, that shit.
yeah. Overall,
Brandon likes to paint the picture of the perfect woman, pretty much.
he's probably singing about his wife.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, Brandon's like, he seems to have a really healthy marriage, you know? Always speaks highly of his family.
yeah, like apparently, like a lot of Wonderful Wonderful was dedicated to his wife.
Oh, man. I wish I would have known that before shitting on the album just a few minutes ago. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I still don't like it, but I would have been a little more generous with my interpretations. Oh,
Wonderful Wonderful. Right, Life to Come and Some Kind of Love are like specifically about his wife, and
oh, so the better tracks on that album.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't feel as bad then.
so, Wonderful Wonderful. I love like how experimental and weird it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like the lyrics, the instrumentation, and apparently like it's about like his wife was abandoned as a child, and that's like the story that's telling.
Oh,
And like apparently like she has a lot of like mental problems as a result of that.
oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, apparently like back in 2015, like when Brandon Flowers, I think it was like when the Desired Effect came out, like his solo album.
Mm.
He was doing a tour, but he had to cancel it because his wife was like thinking about suicide.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's.
I'm glad she's all right, at least.
I think she's doing better now, hopefully.
See, this is the kind of get yourself a man that loves you as much as Brandon loves his wife.
Yeah.
How many rock stars do that? You know, most rock stars have a very unhealthy relationships due to like kind of being absent due to tours and whatnot.
Yeah, like it's very common for famous people to have relationships that don't last very long.
God, like Ozzy Osbourne especially, it's like Oh, it's even though he's still married to that one wife, it's like the things that happened in that marriage due to his problems with drugs and whatnot. Ugh, it's like that's like one of the worst case scenarios for like a rock star.
Yeah. Um, Overall, wonderful, wonderful. Like I said, probably one of my least favorites from the band.
It's not as wonderful as I was hoping for, but it's like I'll come back to it for just one the few tracks I do like. So it's not a complete train wreck.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Dave Kooning wasn't available on this album.
I knew something was missing. He's kind of like the part of the sound of Killers. It's so distinctive.
I think he may have left the band.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's. I don't want to spread rumors out there or libel or anything like that. So it's just like I'll have to look into it.
The last I saw of him was like he was like performing Run for Cover live for Jimmy Kimmel, and like that seems to be it.
Oh, that makes sense.
I was kind of
I think I might.
like because Brandon said that, like a part of the reason is like why sometimes it takes a few years for albums to come out and why they release solo materials because like they just don't feel like working as a band right now. Not because like any drama, but because like I don't really feel like it.
Yeah.
And I was hoping like maybe Dave didn't come back because he wasn't feeling like it, but like he doesn't seem to be anywhere for Imploding the Mirage, so maybe that's not the case.
Mm. Apparently, it's like in 2018, he announced that he would release a solo album called Prismism.
Yeah, that's probably why he wasn't available.
Yeah, that's disappointing, but at least he's doing stuff.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that album if it does. Did it come back? Oh, it said he would release it. I don't know if he did or not.
My favorite track from Wonderful Wonderful, probably Run for Cover.
I think the titular track might just be like the one I like the most out of all of them. But Run for Cover, I recall being a pretty decent listen.
Also, The Man is also lots of fun.
Yeah, I kind of like that one. I have a bit of a soft spot for that, even though it's not my favorite.
Yeah, my least favorite would have to be The Calling.
I don't even know which one's my least favorite. It's like it kind of like goes back and forth depending on the mood I'm in. And a lot of them I just do not remember because it's been a while since I listened to Wonderful.
Yeah.
I know I probably should have listened to it before the podcast, but that's like 5 hours of listening material to go over before I like do that. So I'm just going off memory. So I'm sorry if I'm not as well versed as Earth Smash Studios. So
Most underrated song is a difficult question for me to answer because I'm not the biggest fan of this album. I'd probably go with Wonderful Wonderful.
It's hard to like say like a single is necessarily underrated. I don't know. It's just like I don't really hear many negative things about it, but I don't really hear overtly positive things about it. So even like ones I would like a little more than others would probably just be considered not overrated, not underrated, just perfectly rated.
Overall, I think like there's some people I've seen on Reddit who don't like the title track.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Killer subreddit seems to like have it out for the songs that I really like. Apparently.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, it's time to go to war with them.
So I think we've wrapped up everything on Wonderful Wonderful, and even though Imploding the Mirage hasn't come out yet, I think maybe we could still talk about like what has been released and what like we like our hopes for the album.
Yeah. Well, it's like Imploding the Mirage. It's like it's so far they've only released like Caution and Fire and Bone. Fire and Bone is not as good as Caution, but it has a very interesting beat to it. It's kind of funky. It's like so, and it's like if Caution, Fire, and Bone is indicative of the quality of the rest of the tracks, I am really looking forward to when they eventually release it. And they've been doing a great job lately. Like Ronnie Vanucci Jr. and Brandon Flowers have been like confined to their homes and like but they've been performing there and from their bathroom and a makeshift studio they made in the living room, and not only just performing like kind of live on like Jimmy Kimmel and other late shows, and even like I believe the Sunday morning show that's like on CBS. They also like been commentating on their old videos. It's just Brandon and like Ronnie just talking about like the process of making these famous videos and whatnot. So props to them for actually keeping the fan base, intrigued while there's a major crisis going on. I think we could definitely use some good news now and then.
Yeah, Caution was like was a return to form.
Yeah.
I didn't love it at first, but over time, like I grew appreciation for it. And it's like it is definitely like it's everything that Wonderful Wonderful should have been. Like I said before,
Mm-hmm.
like the lyrics, the composition, the storytelling of the song. It's just the reason why I love the Killers all comes from Caution.
Mm-hmm.
Like I oh my god, it's so good.
I know I'm so hopeful of their future now. It seems that I finally listened to like feedback of not just like Wonderful Wonderful, but also like Day and Age and like Battleborn. It's not necessarily like case that like they only took back the negative feedback, but they also like improved on a few things that fans did like about Day and Age, Battleborn, and whatnot. It seems more like it seems more like a genuine effort to like kind of have some experimentation here and there, but just go back to like their roots pretty much.
Yeah, I'm not all that crazy about Fire and Bone.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's like I don't hate it, but it's like I don't love it as much as I do with Caution. Like Caution's probably gonna have to get its own like gushing time at some point.
Mm-hmm.
They leaked a song on Instagram Live called "Dying Breed," which I really like.
I have to listen to that. I don't have an Instagram, nor do I plan on making one anytime soon, so I'll just have to wait for it to be released.
Yeah, I think there's another song coming out next month. I think it's called "My Old Soul's Warning."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like the album has been delayed because of like everything that's going on, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'd imagine if they do like release it, I think it'd be a great idea if the COVID crisis is still going on that they make it like I don't want to say Amazon exclusive, but that'd probably be the safest option for us at least, or just digital only at least for the first 6 months.
Yeah, like usually whenever like a new album from a band that I really like drops, like I try to get a physical copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with doing an exception for Imploding the Mirage because of like everything that's happening in the world.
Agreed.
I am looking forward to the album. I can't wait till it drops someday.
Yeah.
I think I do hope for it to like make up for the sins of Wonderful Wonderful, and hopefully the band moving back into like the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one day Dave will come back in the future. I don't know.
Hope so. Without Dave, it's gonna be difficult reclaiming the original sound, and then some.
Well, there's not much to talk about when it comes to like Imploding the Mirage because it hasn't been released yet. So I think now is like a good time to talk about like how we got into the band.
All right, you go first.
So I can't remember how long ago this was or how old I was. All I can remember is that I was in elementary school at the time. Usually, whenever my family went on like car trips, we would listen to Hot Fuss as we were doing so. And the first Killer song I ever remember listening to was All These Things That I've Done. That album has also had some other material that I listened to and fell in love with, like Mr. Brightside, Somebody Told Me, Smile Like You Mean It. And then there's some stuff that I listened to that I didn't love at first, but eventually, after listening to it a bit more, I got an appreciation for it, like Andy, You're a Star, Change Your Mind. Around the time when Battleborn came out, my dad, on a whim, decided to buy the Battleborn album, and we listened to that, and that kind of replaced Hot Fuss, and that solidified me as a Killers fan. It's like, yes, this is a great band. A few years later, after I started my YouTube channel, I decided I want to make a list of my favorite Killers songs, and I wrote down a list, but then when I looked at it, I realized most of my stuff is just from Hot Fuss and Battleborn. I have to go back and actually listen to Sandstown and Day and Age. So then I did, and I'm glad that I did, because I listened to some stuff that I'd never heard before, and it made me love the band even more than I already did.
Interesting.
As for you?
Well, I got into them when I was in like high school, roughly. Like, I've heard some of their songs before, Spaceman for the Planet 51 trailer, as well as When You Were Young, which is like on Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock for the PS2. I played the hell out of that when I was in middle school, and I really liked that song even back then. And back then, I was really hard to please in new music. Like, I was strictly a classic rock aficionado. Anything past 1985, I refused to listen to because I was that much of a snob. I don't know why I was like that. Maybe because I hated hair metal so much. I still do. That's not real metal. Fight me. But anyways, Killers is probably one of the first alternative rock band I actually listened to, unironically, and just like I think I got into them with Sam's Town, and then I listened to Battleborn. I like those two albums quite a bit. Day and Age, I did not care for at the time, and Hot Fuss, I did not like at all because I hated electronic music back then. It's like, in fact, it didn't really become my second favorite until like 2019 when I got back into the band. A little convoluted history of the Sidequestian Gentleman here. That's my rebrand name, by the way. Yeah.
To close off, maybe we could like have a talk to like some Killers material that we like, but we didn't get a chance to discuss.
Well, I pretty much said, oh, I didn't talk about the Christmas stuff. All their Christmas stuff is a godsend because I freaking hate the regular Christmas music, like rocking around the Christmas tree, and it's beginning to look a little bit like Christmas. It's like, and oh, freaking hell, Alvin and the Chipmunks, their versions of the Christmas songs, I cannot freaking stand. I just want to blow my freaking brains out, you know? It's like, I think Nitro Rad said it best when in the comments section of Don't Shoot Me Santa. He's like, finally, a Christmas song that ironically does not want me to want me to shoot myself in the head.
Christmas in LA would have to be my favorite Christmas song from the band. That the collaboration they did with Dawes on that one is excellent.
I'd say like Dirt Sledding. That's like my favorite one in terms of Christmas songs. It's just a great sequel to Don't Shoot Me Santa. Agreed. And it's like apparently they did release like a Christmas EP, and I'm thinking about downloading that later, but I'd have to put my paycheck into my checking account because thanks to the COVID crisis, I am out of money for my main checking, so I won't be doing any rash spending on odds and ends anytime soon. At least not until the banks open on Monday. So,
there's also like they made "Shout Out the Night" and "Just Another Girl" for their greatest hits album.
Oh, how can I forget the direct hits one? Just Another Girl. I'm surprised that wasn't put on was it Wonderful Wonderful, you know? It's just like I know it was like recorded much earlier than when that album was out, but it's like I was just surprised it's not on any official studio album. It's just the direct hits.
Yeah,
it's really surprising. I don't know why artists work like that, but whatever. There's at least an album to listen to it.
Yeah, "Shout Out the Night" is again like very neo '80s, and I love it. "Just Another Girl" I also love, and it also has a great music video.
Oh yeah, now that's that's the female reboot we all wanted.
Yeah. I made an entire YouTube video dedicated to like pointing out every Easter egg in the "Just Another Girl" music video.
I know that's my favorite video you've done on the channel easily. It was a great Easter egg video. As you point out things I did not even really notice, like the Day and Age cover. It's like, how was I not making that connection with a purple background? That's like my favorite album cover. What's wrong with me? You know?
The best part is like I did that all off the top of my head. I think I only had like fact check for one of the Easter eggs.
Yeah, but like even pointed out like the dancing like girls in like the Spanish dresses, like that was great, you know. I didn't even notice that. I would not have made that connection at all. And can I just say, the actress who was the stand-in for Brandon Flowers, I'm gonna say it. She has way better dance moves and stage presence than even Brandon. I'm sorry, Brandon, but damn, that was a great performance.
How dare you, sinner!
Sorry, put on some high heels, Brandon, and you can just be as graceful, you know.
Credit is due. Like she pulls off a mustache despite all odds.
Oh my god, that's so adorable.
Like that is that. I wish more bands made music videos like that because like that would be like a great celebration of like their discography and how far they've come.
Like I noticed some bands that kind of do that. Sometimes they have celebrities just come in and just like play as their characters. I don't really like this band, but Beastie Boys did this one video called "Make Some Noise," and it's like they had Elijah Wood and a bunch of other actors like play as them because they were a bit too old for the role, and they try to make a sequel to one of their hits. I think "Yeah, Fight for Your Right to Party," and it's like that was a sequel video to
Are there any
that.
Are there any songs that you think should have made it onto direct hits but they overlooked?
Uh, well, I don't know. It's like I think the selection they chose was pretty good enough as it was. It's like direct hits. It's just like they gotta select only the greatest of the greatest hits, and sometimes it's a popularity contest, not necessarily based on ones we would consider as good. But
I kind of wish
Hmm.
This River's Wild would have made it on there.
I like how it's not called greatest hits. Kind of stands out because every album has a greatest hits album, so just changing the wording of it works pretty well. It's kind of funny. Like most of this album is just hot fuss.
How many are there from Hot Fuss? I can't remember.
There's like four from Hot Fuss, Mr. Brightside, Somebody Told Me, Smile Like You Mean It, and all the things that I've done. Hey, the good ones. That works. There's also Sam Stone, who had When You Were Young, Read My Mind, For Reasons Unknown. Day and Age had Human, Spaceman, and a Dustland Fairy Tale. Runaways, Miss Atomic Bomb, and The Way It Was from Battleborn. I'm really surprised The Way It Was on there. It doesn't even have its own Wikipedia article.
I'm probably gonna be excommunicated from the Killers fan base by saying I like The Way It Was, but I don't know if it deserves to be like on the direct hits album.
Definitely not. It's like I would have chosen another single from that album.
I'd probably play The Way It Was with Be Still.
It's like I think it's one of those few albums where even if you have their entire discography, it's definitely worth buying the album just for like the two hits at the end. Plus, you get all the other stuff, probably upscaled in terms of sound. At playing at a higher hertz level. That's what they do with later greatest hits albums. They just make it sound better than it initially did.
What do you think they'll put on their second greatest hits album if they ever release it?
Well, that's a good question.
I'm not too familiar. Like, if a band releases another greatest hits, like, do they just put on the stuff that was on the first one and update it with more recent stuff that came out after the first greatest hits?
That's usually the way it's done. Well, sometimes they'll just call it Volume 2 and then just release it with the other volume and maybe even retitle the original one Volume 1. I think that's what David Bowie did. I think it was David Bowie Through the Years, and there's like multiple volumes.
I think like if they ever do like make Greatest Hits Volume 2, like maybe they could update the Greatest Hits Volume 1 to have some overlooked stuff like Jenny Was a Friend of Mine or This River's Wild, and update it with some stuff that came out afterwards.
I think that'd be great for like I don't know, follow up to Sawdust. Why not Sawdust 2.0 or something like that for rarities and B-sides from their later stuff?
I definitely do like one other like Sawdust because there's like special edition songs for Day and Age and Battleborn that definitely would get like more attention if they did that.
Yeah. One thing I am a little confused about is some of the exclusions. Like I know it's direct hits, it's more loaded than even most of their studio albums, but I'm just surprised that there is no like Christmas songs from their Christmas EP. What happened?
Well, it's probably because like Christmas is like people probably kind of consider it like you could only really listen to that at Christmas time, so it doesn't count.
No, fair enough, but still. Dirt Sledding could just like it could have been it could be listened to as not a Christmas song. Even though there are some references here and there, but still.
Yeah, trying to think what else is there. Oh, do you know that Christmas song they did with Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
Kill the Lump of Coal. But there's I think a few days ago on YouTube they released a cover of a song called The Waiting, and Brandon's vocals in that are amazing.
I'd have to check that out.
It's a great cover. It's awesome.
Alright. Well, I think we've just pretty much covered everything there is to talk about from their discography as of writing.
There's one thing I want to talk about.
Sure.
Spaceship Adventure.
What's that?
It's a song that they did for Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it any good, or is it just kind of dumbed down for kids?
It's fun. It's a fun song. When I first heard it, it was just like on its own without context. I was like, oh, this is fun. It's kind of weird though. But then I found out that they wrote it for Yo Gabba Gabba. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Oh my god. Oh jeez. Okay, I'm clicking on it. Hey, this is not bad. This is like something that would fit nicely in like day and age at least.
Yeah. I thought it was like an unreleased track for day and age at first. The best part is like because it's Yo Gabba Gabba, they can't call them the Killers, so they just call them by the band members' names.
Wow. It's funny. It's like this music video is a lot better produced than their usual music videos, if I'm being honest. The stop motion is good, and the costume design, it's like Flash Gordon-esque.
I was like back when like before The Last Jedi came out, I was seriously doing a joke video where I was like, The Last Jedi leaked footage, and I just took Spaceship Adventure but like edited Star Wars characters on the band members' head.
Oh my god, please upload that to your channel.
I never made it.
Oh man.
I should have done it. It would have been amazing.
Oh my god, that's stuck in my head. That was my live reaction of Spaceship Adventure. If that is produced just for a kids show, then I have a lot of hope for the next generation.
Yay. I think this is a good place to end the podcast. I think we talked about everything that we wanted to.
All right. Well, there is just one other thing we have to talk about. When are you making the Spaceship Adventure Star Wars video? And how does Ronnie Vannucci Jr. grow such a manly beard and keep it that way, all symmetrical and neat? I can't grow something like that. What's his secret?
Some people got it, some don't.
He's like a freaking Viking, and I mean that as a compliment, you know? That is a manly man right there.
Remember I saw the Killers live back like after Wonderful Wonderful dropped, and after like the show ended, Ronnie was just on stage for like 3 minutes like banging away at the drums.
I want to see him and Dave Grohl just have a drumming contest. That would be something that I'd want to see.
The universe would implode.
Oh yeah, and get Animal from the Muppets. Now it's a complete contest. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. This was fun, and well, we pretty much covered both of the bands we have in common. But if there's more artists we're into, we might do a future episode. But stay safe, stay at home. Is there anything you'd like to add as a concluding statement?
I might do another podcast again in the future. I can't guarantee when it will happen. I just have like the right time has to come up. I might do another music related podcast. I just have to find someone who is also a fan of like the other bands that I love in order to do that.
Oh yeah, he's probably going to do like collaborate with other people as well.
Yeah, but overall, that's all from us for today. So come by next time. Can't wait to see you there. Until then, EB out.